I've been waiting patiently for the new Despicable Me ever since the last one dropped all the way back in 2017. Holy shit, I was fucking 12 when that came out. Anyways, I wasn't a big fan of that movie, at all. My favorite part of it was probably the villain, mostly because he's played by Trey Parker, South Park. So I went and saw Despicable Me 4 with my family, and when I came out of the theater, I was like, oh yeah! I then decided to see it again with a group of friends, but this time I came out thinking, oh yeah!
How many fucking times are you gonna do this shit?
Jokes aside, after watching it the first time, I thought it was pretty alright. Upon watching it for a second time though, I realized it's kinda shit. I don't have a ton to say about it, so I'm going to try and avoid a whole ass 2-hour analysis, but yeah, let's do it. So the plot of this movie is that Gru and his family are being hunted down by the AVL's most wanted villain, Maxime Le Mal. I don't know how he's the most wanted villain because he doesn't do a damn thing in this movie. Maxime is more disappointing than South Park Snow Day. The introduction to this movie is a good setup, and I think there was plenty potential for this to be great, but wow. So Gru and his family are forced to move to a new town with new identities. Gru is now Chet Cunningham, a solar salesman. Lucy is now Blanche, a hairdresser. And I honestly forget the girls' new names because they don't do a damn thing in this movie either. But last and not least, we have Gru and Lucy's son, Gru Jr. You know, it's weird seeing them with a new child, only because Margot, Edith, and Agnes have not aged a day in 14 years. Gru Jr. is probably almost a year old at this point, and they couldn't at least age up the girls a little bit? Not to mention in Despicable Me 2, Gru and Lucy have 147 dates before they get married at the end of the movie. The girls still don't age at all. With all of this to go off of, they should have at least aged 2 or 3 years by now, but no. The director of this movie, Chris Renault, actually came out and said that they purposely don't age Gru's daughters to follow a Simpsons approach to keep them frozen in time. He says this method helps maintain consistency and familiarity with the characters. Now, I'm going to say that just because The Simpsons does it, doesn't mean it's fucking cool. Hell, my favorite episodes of The Simpsons are the ones that take place in the future. I think the decision to not age up the characters actually hurts these movies, and they could easily benefit from doing so. The writers clearly don't know what to do with the girls anymore because what else is there to do? The only consistency that's being maintained is the lack of purpose these characters currently have. It would be interesting to see Gru struggle to deal with his daughters getting older and becoming their own people. It not only allows more stories to be told, but also gives them something to do. One of the biggest complaints I've seen with Despicable Me 4 is how many subplots they try to cram into its hour-and-a-half runtime. I absolutely agree with this. There's a lot of scenes that don't affect the story in any way, like most of the movie to be honest. Like how Agnes and Edith have a karate class. That is its own scene, but it contributes nothing to the story. Another one is when Lucy's pretending to be a hairdresser and accidentally ruins some lady's hair. There's this whole chase sequence and it's kind of funny, but does it further the plot at all? Absolutely not. The great thing about the first 2 Despicable Me films is that every scene progresses the plot in some way. For example, in the first movie, Gru takes the girls to a theme park. It's a great and funny scene, but it isn't there just for the sake of being there. It's here where Gru starts to really enjoy being around the girls, and that was essential to the plot. This new movie doesn't have many of those at all. The Minions have this plot where there's a group of mega minions. They just kind of go around trying to be heroes and fuck it up completely. I feel like I'm the only person that thinks the Minions are kind of funny, but I'll still admit that they don't contribute to the story at all. The only thing I can think of that actually affects the story is the heist. When Gru and his family moved to a new town, Gru is immediately recognized by a girl next door named Poppy. Poppy is a supervillain wannabe and threatens to reveal Gru's identity unless he pulls a heist with her. She wants to break into her dream villain school and steal the principal's honey badger. Who would ever want to own a fucking honey badger? I don't know. But the whole point of this is for Poppy to do something so bad that the school will have to accept her application. Now, they pull off the heist, but uh-oh, the principal has a tracker on the badger. Sorry, fucker. The principal tracks down Gru and tells Maxime, who just shows up at the doorstep and kidnaps Gru Jr. You might be wondering why I've barely mentioned Maxime at all, and trust me, I have a good reason. The reason is there's nothing to say. At the start of the movie, he breaks out of jail and vows revenge on Gru, and he doesn't do shit until the very end. He really is the worst villain out of all these movies. If they took out all the extra bullshit, they actually could have set him up to be somewhat interesting. Maxime is apparently so evil, but we don't see him do anything fucked up. Not until he takes Gru's son. The final battle of Despicable Me 4 is pretty underwhelming, and it's over so quick. I don't have anything else to say about it. There's just nothing to say. And so the day is saved, and the movie ends with Gru going to visit Maxime in prison, and they sing a song together? Ending a movie with the characters singing a song is so goddamn lazy because most of them fucking do this. Not gonna lie though, it's honestly a banger. Getting to see the villains from the old movies was also pretty cool. I shit on this movie pretty bad because it's not that good at all. But at the end of the day, I still kinda liked it. Don't get me wrong, it's complete ass, but it's ass I still enjoyed.